the prosperity state Neville Goddard lived in. In this video, you will discover the hidden state of abundance Neville Goddard lived in and learn how to step into it yourself, experiencing wealth and opportunity as a natural state of being rather than a distant goal. This is where it begins, with a question. What if prosperity isn't something you chase, but something you already are, waiting to be realized through your imagination and feeling? This is how it unfolds. Neville didn't wait for circumstances to change. He changed his inner world first and let reality follow. This is where truth breaks through. He treated wealth as a consciousness rather than a ledger, believing that what you assume to be true within your mind manifests externally. This is why it matters, because every moment spent doubting or fearing lack is a moment spent distancing yourself from abundance that is already yours. This is where illusion fades. By observing the world as a mirror of your inner state, Neville learned to enter the feeling of having already arrived. This is the turning point. Imagine a young man walking through New York City, pockets empty, yet his mind brimming with the certainty of success, and watch how doors open in ways unseen. This is the subtle magic, where thoughts, repeated and felt, coagulate into events, people, and opportunities aligning perfectly with one's desires. This is how belief becomes action, not by forcing the world to comply, but by embodying the state that naturally attracts its reflection. This is the secret behind Neville's letters and lectures. He emphasized living as if wealth were your reality, crafting your outer life from the canvas of inner experience. This is why focus is everything. The mind, like fertile soil, produces what is planted consistently and nourished with feeling. This is where faith takes root. In the quiet moments before sleep, he imagined success, letting the subconscious organize circumstances effortlessly. This is how miracles appear ordinary, because when your consciousness is rich, ordinary encounters bloom into transformative opportunities. This is the human element. Neville himself faced poverty, skepticism, and societal pressure, yet he never abandoned the state of abundance within. This is where imagination conquers fear. By seeing oneself as already wealthy, the mind dispels doubt and opens channels that logic alone cannot reach. This is why repetition is key. The persistent assumption of prosperity trains perception to notice doors rather than obstacles. This is how gratitude accelerates manifestation. By appreciating wealth as if it already exists, you magnetize circumstances that match that feeling. This is where lessons turn practical. Small, consistent acts, like mentally counting blessings or envisioning payments made joyfully, reinforce the inner state. This is how life begins to reflect your inner prosperity. Colleagues, clients, and opportunities start appearing as if by design, echoing your belief. This is where the viewer benefits. By learning to inhabit Neville's state of wealth consciousness, you can begin to live as though abundance is your natural inheritance, transforming both your mindset and reality. Can you imagine a mind so attuned to abundance that it naturally organizes life around opportunity, ease, and prosperity? This is where the story deepens. Neville Goddard understood that the outer world is simply a reflection of inner convictions, and mastery over imagination creates mastery over circumstances. This is how it unfolds. Each thought, each feeling, each fleeting image in the mind is a building block of your reality, whether consciously placed or left unattended. This is where insight strikes. The person who waits for wealth misses the subtle shaping happening within, and the one who assumes abundance becomes its magnet. This is why it resonates. Your beliefs about money, success, and value are quietly scripting the experiences you call luck or hardship. This is how perception shapes life. When Neville focused on what he wanted, he ignored the lack surrounding him and allowed the subconscious to craft a seamless path toward realization. This is where precision matters. To live in prosperity is not merely to wish, but to feel the full reality of already having it with every fiber of your being. This is the turning point. Imagine walking through your day with the unshakable conviction that opportunities, wealth, and recognition are already aligned to your path, and watch as obstacles melt away. This is the subtle mastery. Decisions, conversations, and even chance encounters begin to orchestrate themselves in harmony with your inner state. This is how discipline manifests. By consistently returning attention to the mental image of abundance, you create a momentum that circumstances cannot resist. This is where emotion becomes currency. Feeling the joy, relief, and pride of having achieved your desires infuses the world with a magnetic force. This is the bridge between thought and matter. Neville's method shows that imagination felt intensely is indistinguishable from reality in its creative power. This is how clarity eliminates struggle. A mind aligned with prosperity sees solutions rather than problems, pathways rather than walls. This is why subtle shifts matter. Changing your inner dialogue from fear to expectation rewrites the script that guides your outward life. This is how timing is transformed. When your inner architecture is rich, doors open before you even know you need them, and synchronicities appear like a symphony. This is the role of persistence. Repeated assumption, reinforced by feeling, eventually overrides old patterns of scarcity that may have dominated decades. This is how Neville turned principle into practice. He would visualize a payment made or a project completed with joy, fully embodying the state as if it were true. This is the hidden mechanism of success. The world reflects the internal blueprint more faithfully than any external effort could. This is where transformation becomes tangible. By constructing an inner life that exudes wealth, the outer life inevitably mirrors the richness cultivated within. This is where you benefit. Understanding and applying this inner architecture allows you to build prosperity consciously, deliberately, and with unwavering confidence. Now consider this. What if the secret to wealth wasn't in action or hustle, but in cultivating a deep, unshakable feeling that your desires are already fulfilled? This is where it unfolds. Neville Goddard taught that the subconscious does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences. It responds to feeling as reality itself. This is how it works. When you immerse yourself in the sensation of already owning, earning, or achieving, your mind begins to organize circumstances to match that inner state. This is where belief takes physical form. The world starts to respond to the certainty in your emotions rather than the doubts in your intellect. This is why patience becomes effortless. Because once you inhabit the feeling of fulfillment, waiting is no longer anxiety-driven, but a quiet observation of your own creation coming into being. This is the turning point. Imagine sitting at your desk, visualizing a successful project completed, feeling the relief and pride as if it's already happened, while opportunities mysteriously align to make it real. This is how intuition guides action. When your emotional state matches the desired outcome, inspired decisions naturally flow, often bypassing conscious struggle. This is where alignment becomes automatic. Friends, mentors, and unforeseen events appear, reflecting the vibrancy of your inner conviction. This is how imagination becomes reality. By consistently dwelling in the experience of success, your inner world sends signals to your outer world, shaping it effortlessly. This is why small, persistent exercises matter. Mentally counting your wealth, savoring imagined achievements, or replaying success scenarios primes the mind for tangible manifestation. This is where doubt is dissolved. The intensity of lived feeling overrides skepticism, replacing fear with certainty. This is the hidden engine of manifestation. Emotion energized by vivid imagination powers results far beyond mere logical planning. This is why Neville emphasized sleeping in the state of fulfillment, letting the subconscious absorb the feeling as if reality itself were complete. This is how your environment begins to shift. Your perception sharpens, noticing resources, allies, and opportunities previously invisible. This is where gratitude magnifies results. Feeling thankful for wealth already present accelerates the process of it appearing externally. This is the power of embodiment. Acting, speaking, and thinking as someone already prosperous rewires habits, relationships, and decisions. This is where synchronicity takes over. Events fall into place with uncanny timing, guided by the subconscious acting on your emotional blueprint. This is how life begins to feel effortless. Abundance stops being a goal and becomes the natural backdrop to every choice and action. This is where the viewer gains. Mastering the feeling of already having allows you to live from a place of inner wealth, making external prosperity an inevitable reflection. Suppose you discover that your entire life can change simply by assuming the state you desire is already true, as Neville Goddard consistently demonstrated. This is where it begins. He lived in the assumption that everything he wanted was already his, shaping a reality that mirrored his inner convictions with stunning accuracy. This is how it unfolds. By mentally dwelling in the end result and fully embracing it, the outer world bends to match the inner certainty. This is the turning point. Picture yourself walking confidently through your day, already enjoying the abundance you seek, while circumstances begin to rearrange themselves in alignment with that belief. This is why consistency is vital. The mind takes repeated assumptions as law, gradually overriding old patterns of limitation and scarcity. This is the subtle power of imagination. Every scene you vividly enact in thought becomes a blueprint for your subconscious to follow in reality. This is how doubt is neutralized. Persistent assumption trains your mind to ignore what appears and instead respond to what is imagined as already accomplished. This is where action becomes inspired. When you act from the state of already having, choices flow naturally, effortlessly, and often in directions you could never plan consciously. This is the beauty of the method. External efforts no longer feel like struggle because they are extensions of your inner certainty rather than attempts to force results. This is where patience is redefined. Waiting becomes a serene observation of your assumptions taking shape, rather than a tense longing for fulfillment. This is how reality aligns. People, resources, and opportunities begin to appear as if drawn magnetically to your confident inner state. This is where imagination transcends limitation. Even seemingly impossible goals become attainable when consistently assumed as real. This is why Neville emphasized the inner life. Your outer circumstances will always reflect the dominant state of your consciousness. This is the mechanism of unseen support. Unseen forces and coincidences, often dismissed as luck, respond to the energy of your assumed reality. This is how persistence compounds. Each reinforced assumption builds layers of evidence in your life that confirm your inner state as truth. This is where faith and feeling merge. The act of living as if what you desire already exists bridges mind and matter seamlessly. This is how obstacles dissolve. By acting and feeling in alignment with your end, resistance becomes irrelevant and circumstances bend effortlessly. This is where timing is orchestrated. Doors open precisely when your consciousness is fully attuned to the result. This is why the viewer benefits. Mastering the art of assumption allows you to step into the prosperity state Neville inhabited, turning imagination into lived reality, and making wealth, success, and fulfillment an automatic reflection of your inner world. Envision a world where belief itself becomes the currency of life, where your inner conviction shapes every circumstance with precision and ease. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard demonstrated that faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking, but a living, palpable force that organizes reality around the certainty of your desires. This is how it unfolds. By holding unwavering faith in the fulfillment of your goals, your subconscious mind begins to orchestrate events, people, and opportunities that mirror that belief. This is the turning point. Imagine trusting completely that your financial breakthrough, career success, or personal achievement is already realized, and feeling that as vividly as the morning sun. This is why faith amplifies imagination. Without genuine belief, visions remain fantasies. With faith, they become active seeds planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. This is how inner resistance is overcome. Doubt and fear are neutralized by the sheer weight of conviction that your desires are inevitable. This is where action becomes effortless. Inspired steps arise naturally from a mind aligned with the certainty of abundance, making struggle unnecessary. This is the subtle mastery. When faith guides your imagination, the world mirrors back the opportunities, alliances, and insights needed to bring your vision to life. This is how persistence is energized. Belief acts as both compass and fuel, sustaining you through apparent delays and seeming obstacles. This is where timing becomes invisible. Events and synchronicities unfold exactly when your consciousness is ready to receive their impact. This is why Neville emphasized feeling the end. Faith is not abstract. It is a lived sensation of completion, satisfaction, and inevitability. This is the transformative power. By cultivating unwavering belief, you command reality without coercion, allowing life to rearrange itself around your assumptions. This is how gratitude strengthens faith. Recognizing abundance already present magnifies the certainty that more will manifest. This is where inner dialogue becomes a tool. Speaking, thinking, and imagining from the perspective of already having reinforces the subconscious blueprint. This is how limitations dissolve. Financial struggles, self-doubt, and external obstacles are neutralized as your inner certainty dominates perception. This is where imagination and faith merge, creating a creative force that is more potent than logic, circumstance, or effort alone. This is why resilience becomes natural. Setbacks no longer shake the inner state because faith anchors you in the outcome as real. This is the unseen engine of prosperity. The universe responds to faith as faithfully as it responds to gravity, bending events toward your inner certainty. This is how your life begins to reflect abundance. Once faith saturates thought, feeling, and action, wealth and opportunity manifest with astonishing consistency. This is where the viewer benefits. Embracing faith as Neville did allows you to inhabit a prosperity state in which financial, personal, and creative fulfillment flow naturally and continuously. Think of the moment when your mind quietly, invisibly, shapes the events of your life with the precision of a master architect, and yet you hardly notice it happening. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that the subconscious mind is the ultimate creator, responding not to logic or reasoning, but to the emotional and imaginative states you impress upon it. This is how it unfolds. Every thought, feeling, and imagined scene seeds your subconscious, which then arranges circumstances to match the reality you have internalized. This is the turning point. Imagine planting a vivid, emotion-rich vision of financial abundance into your subconscious each night before sleep, and waking to find opportunities, clients, and resources effortlessly aligned. This is why repetition is transformative. The more consistently you feed your subconscious with the feeling of already having, the more deeply it ingrains the blueprint of prosperity. This is where subtlety matters. Even fleeting moments of doubt or negativity can disrupt the flow, emphasizing the need for careful, deliberate cultivation of wealth consciousness. This is how imagination becomes tangible. By saturating your subconscious with clear, specific, and emotionally compelling visions of success, your external world begins to reflect them. This is the hidden mechanics. Your subconscious does not distinguish between fantasy and reality. It simply acts upon what feels real to it. This is where inspired action emerges, because a mind aligned with wealth naturally recognizes solutions, allies, and opportunities that the conscious mind may overlook. This is why dreams are vital. The images you hold in vivid detail, particularly before sleep, feed the subconscious and accelerate manifestation. This is how obstacles are neutralized. When your inner life consistently embodies the state of prosperity, outer challenges bend to accommodate the assumption you live by. This is where inner discipline pays off. Controlling your focus, your self-talk, and your imaginative exercises ensures that the subconscious receives only empowering, abundance-focused impressions. This is how synchronicity operates. Events, meetings, and chance encounters begin to occur with uncanny precision as the subconscious arranges life to match your assumptions. This is why Neville emphasized living in the end. Feeling the outcome fully and persistently impresses the subconscious, making it act as a magnet for all aligned circumstances. This is how resistance fades. As your subconscious becomes saturated with wealth consciousness, scarcity thoughts are naturally overshadowed and eventually replaced. This is the invisible engine of transformation. Unseen forces and patterns coordinate around your inner state, delivering results without the need for forced effort. This is where the art of imagination meets practicality. Your inner visions shape decisions, relationships, and strategies in perfect harmony with abundance. This is why attention is power. Whatever you focus on repeatedly in feeling and imagination becomes the template your subconscious uses to construct reality. This is where real-life outcomes emerge. People, finances, and opportunities appear as if preordained, echoing the inner state Neville mastered. This is how the viewer benefits. By understanding and working with the subconscious, as Neville did, you transform it into a relentless magnet for wealth, allowing prosperity to flow naturally into every area of life. Ask yourself what happens when every thought you entertain becomes nourishment for your reality, shaping not just what you do, but who you become. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard called this the mental diet, the disciplined practice of choosing only those thoughts, images, and feelings that align with the life you wish to live. This is how it unfolds, by consciously refusing to entertain fear, doubt, or scarcity. You allow the mind to fully absorb and project abundance as your natural state. This is where transformation accelerates. Small moments of vigilance, repeated consistently, compound into profound shifts in both perception and circumstance. This is the turning point. Imagine catching yourself in a fleeting worry about money and immediately replacing it with a vivid, emotional image of your desired financial state, as Neville would teach. This is how clarity strengthens. Each intentional thought reinforces the blueprint of prosperity, ensuring the subconscious receives only the signals that serve your highest vision. This is where habits take root. Over time, the mind naturally defaults to wealth-aligned thinking, making abundance the automatic lens through which you perceive life. This is why persistence matters. The mental diet must be maintained, especially in the face of challenges or societal pressures that reinforce scarcity. This is how imagination becomes decisive. Every carefully chosen mental scene, felt with intensity, guides your subconscious to arrange opportunities, people, and circumstances that match it. This is the subtle mastery. Your inner vigilance prevents contrary beliefs from undermining the rich state you are cultivating. This is where emotional resonance deepens. Feeling joy, gratitude, and satisfaction in imagined success energizes the mind, making manifestation effortless. This is why awareness is power. Simply observing your thoughts allows you to intercept and redirect those that contradict abundance. This is how consistency compounds. Repeated practice ingrains prosperity consciousness so fully that it becomes second nature, influencing decisions, relationships, and career paths. This is the role of mindfulness. Actively curating the mental diet ensures that fear-based narratives are replaced with confidence, certainty, and optimism. This is where subtle forces align. Opportunities that might otherwise be missed appear naturally when your consciousness is disciplined and focused on abundance. This is the mechanism of unseen orchestration. The subconscious, fed a steady stream of wealth-aligned impressions, begins to arrange life events with precision and grace. This is why Neville emphasized mental hygiene. Just as the body requires clean food for vitality, the mind requires careful selection of thoughts to produce desired results. This is how the outer world mirrors the inner. Environments, connections, and opportunities shift in response to the clarity and discipline of your inner state. This is where the viewer benefits. Mastering a disciplined mental diet allows you to maintain the prosperity state Neville inhabited, creating a life where wealth, opportunity, and fulfillment are constant reflections of your cultivated inner world. Consider the possibility that the simple act of feeling truly grateful can transform your financial reality and open doors that seemed permanently closed. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that gratitude is not a polite acknowledgement, but a powerful emotional signal that aligns your consciousness with the reality you desire. This is how it unfolds. By appreciating wealth, opportunity, and success as if they are already yours, you communicate to your subconscious that these states are permanent and natural. This is the turning point. Imagine waking each morning and fully feeling the joy of having achieved your financial goals, letting that energy color every action, thought, and decision throughout the day. This is why gratitude amplifies imagination. The more intensely you feel abundance, the more receptive your mind becomes to opportunities and solutions that were previously invisible. This is where momentum gathers. Consistent gratitude builds an energetic field that attracts favorable circumstances, people, and resources effortlessly. This is how faith is reinforced. By consistently acknowledging the richness already present, you strengthen the conviction that more is always on the way. This is the subtle mastery. The inner frequency of gratitude acts like a magnet, drawing aligned events to your experience naturally. This is how visualization gains power. Imagining wealth while simultaneously feeling deep appreciation makes the subconscious accept the scenario as reality. This is where resistance fades. Complaints, fear, and scarcity dissolve when replaced by the compelling emotional experience of already having what you desire. This is why emotional authenticity matters. The subconscious responds to genuine feeling, not mechanical repetition, making heartfelt gratitude transformative. This is the bridge to effortless manifestation. When gratitude saturates your consciousness, outer circumstances start matching your inner richness. This is how patience is strengthened. Knowing and feeling that abundance is already yours removes anxiety and replaces it with calm expectancy. This is the hidden engine. Everyday encounters, small wins, and unexpected breakthroughs begin to cluster as if orchestrated by unseen forces. This is where imagination and feeling converge. The simultaneous act of visualizing and appreciating creates a powerful signal that guides life toward your prosperity state. This is why Neville emphasized living in the feeling. The lived experience of abundance is more compelling to the subconscious than any plan or effort. This is how the outer world becomes responsive. Colleagues, clients, financial resources, and opportunities begin to appear naturally, reflecting the inner state of gratitude. This is the subtle art of alignment. The mind, heart, and subconscious synchronize to create a seamless pathway to the results you have imagined. This is where the viewer benefits. Practicing deep, genuine gratitude allows you to enter and sustain the prosperity state Neville inhabited, making abundance, wealth, and opportunity a constant reflection of your inner life. Picture for a moment a mind so attuned to abundance that it discovers opportunities, resources, and pathways in places others overlook, turning the ordinary into a canvas for prosperity. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard understood that your perception determines what you attract. And by consciously seeing wealth everywhere, you train your subconscious to replicate that abundance. This is how it unfolds. When you interpret the world through the lens of prosperity, every encounter, every conversation, and every situation becomes a potential stepping stone toward your desires. This is the turning point. Imagine walking through your neighborhood or workplace and noticing small signs of opportunity that others ignore, simply because your consciousness is primed for abundance. This is why focus is transformative. The mind cannot see what it does not expect, and by expecting wealth, you begin to notice resources, connections, and solutions everywhere. This is the subtle mastery. Perceiving potential rather than limitation rewires thought patterns, guiding actions that naturally align with success. This is how imagination and observation merge. By visualizing prosperity and simultaneously seeing it reflected in reality, your subconscious seamlessly organizes circumstances to match. This is where luck becomes predictable. What others call coincidence is often the natural outcome of a mind trained to perceive abundance. This is why Neville emphasized revision. Changing past perceptions of scarcity allows your consciousness to see opportunities previously blocked by old beliefs. This is how clarity magnifies results. The sharper your awareness of abundance in all forms, the more efficiently your mind and actions bring prosperity into your life. This is where belief shapes experience. Every thought of limitation subtly contracts possibilities, while seeing wealth everywhere expands the horizon of your potential. This is the turning mechanism. Consistent observation of abundance impresses the subconscious to generate situations that echo your inner state. This is how resilience strengthens. Challenges become opportunities to refine your perception rather than signs of defeat, keeping you aligned with prosperity. This is where the law of assumption activates. By assuming that every moment holds wealth, your imagination converts it into lived reality. This is how synchronicities appear. People, events, and resources begin to coincide with your desires, often in ways that seem miraculous but are natural consequences of perception. This is why practice is key. Daily attention to abundance trains the mind to detect, embrace, and act on opportunities automatically. This is where small wins compound. Noticing minor successes creates a reinforcing cycle that magnifies both confidence and external results. This is how life feels effortless. Seeing wealth everywhere transforms ordinary routines into strategic steps toward prosperity. This is where the viewer benefits. By adopting this perspective, you cultivate the same prosperity state Neville inhabited, turning perception itself into a powerful magnet for financial, personal, and creative abundance. Now consider this. What if every choice, action, and decision you make flowed naturally from the certainty that your desired outcome is already realized, rather than from uncertainty or hope? This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that acting from the end is the secret to effortless manifestation, where your inner assumption directs every external move. This is how it unfolds. By behaving, speaking, and making decisions as though your goals are already accomplished, you align your outer life with your inner state of fulfillment. This is the turning point. Imagine negotiating a business deal or approaching a project with the calm confidence of someone who has already succeeded, allowing opportunities to align themselves seamlessly. This is why embodiment matters. The subconscious responds not just to thought, but to the totality of your lived experience, including your posture, speech, and habitual reactions. This is where precision amplifies results. Every action taken from the end reinforces the inner state and impresses it further upon your subconscious. This is how obstacles dissolve. When you act from the end, resistance appears as mere stepping stones, rather than barriers, naturally navigating around them. This is where inspiration flows. Acting from certainty generates intuitive ideas, creative solutions, and connections that would not arise from a state of doubt or lack. This is why timing synchronizes. The universe orchestrates circumstances to coincide perfectly with your assumed reality. This is the subtle mastery. Your outer life becomes a reflection of inner completion, and people, events, and resources appear as though magnetically drawn. This is how confidence compounds. Each action taken in alignment with the end strengthens belief, making subsequent steps effortless and effective. This is where imagination meets execution. Your visualized outcomes inform and guide your real-world behaviors with uncanny accuracy. This is why Neville emphasized mental rehearsal. Practicing scenarios in your mind primes your actions to reflect the state of fulfillment. This is how alignment generates momentum. When inner and outer states coincide, progress accelerates beyond expectation. This is where habit becomes art. Acting from the end transforms everyday routines into deliberate instruments of manifestation. This is how life begins to mirror vision. Your environment responds naturally to the certainty and emotion embedded in your actions. This is the power of embodiment. Feeling and behaving as though success is already yours programs the subconscious to generate supporting circumstances. This is where obstacles become opportunities. Every challenge becomes a chance to reinforce and embody the end state more fully. This is how the viewer benefits. Learning to act from the end allows you to inhabit Neville's prosperity state, making every decision, encounter, and outcome a reflection of the wealth and abundance already within you. Can you imagine carrying decades of limiting beliefs about money, success, and opportunity, only to realize they are entirely optional and reversible? This is where it begins. Neville Goddard understood that most people live in a subconscious state of scarcity, which shapes their external reality into lack and limitation. This is how it unfolds. By consciously identifying and revising these deeply ingrained beliefs, you can replace them with assumptions of abundance that automatically attract wealth. This is the turning point. Picture yourself confronting old fears about finances, watching them dissolve as you insist on living in the certainty of prosperity instead. This is why awareness is transformative. Scarcity only holds power when it is unrecognized, and once illuminated by conscious observation, it loses its grip. This is the subtle mastery. Revising mental impressions of past failures, debt, or loss allows the subconscious to accept a new narrative in which wealth and opportunity are inevitable. This is how imagination becomes freedom. By mentally living in abundance despite prior conditioning, you reprogram automatic thought patterns and emotional responses. This is where persistence pays off. Repeated assumption and careful attention gradually overwrite the limiting scripts etched into your subconscious over years. This is why the present moment matters. Each instance of choice, focus, or imagination is an opportunity to reinforce prosperity and displace scarcity. This is where emotional intensity accelerates results. Feeling fully the relief, satisfaction, and joy of abundance implants these states deeply into your subconscious. This is how patience aligns with certainty. You no longer wait anxiously for change, but observe the external world bending naturally to your inner state. This is the turning mechanism. Even small acts of revising past perceptions generate momentum, gradually reshaping circumstances into reflections of wealth consciousness. This is where obstacles are neutralized. Old scarcity triggers no longer dictate reactions, and you respond from a position of empowered assumption. This is how everyday life becomes a classroom. Each challenge provides the opportunity to practice revision, strengthening the new reality of prosperity. This is the bridge between thought and manifestation. By constantly reinforcing abundance in both imagination and feeling, the subconscious begins to construct life according to your chosen state. This is where subtle cues amplify change. Noticing moments of lack and consciously redirecting focus trains the mind to favor wealth-aligned perceptions. This is why Neville emphasized mental discipline. Without vigilance, old patterns reassert themselves, but with consistent revision, the inner state of prosperity solidifies. This is how reality begins to reflect new belief. External evidence of abundance appears as your inner scarcity conditioning is replaced. This is where the viewer benefits. Mastering the art of overcoming scarcity conditioning allows you to inhabit Neville's prosperity state effortlessly, transforming thought, feeling, and circumstance into a life of natural wealth and opportunity. Envision a reality where simply expecting wealth and success draws them effortlessly toward you, as if the universe itself were responding to your inner certainty. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard emphasized that expectation is not passive hope, but an active, magnetic force that programs the subconscious to deliver results in perfect alignment with your inner assumption. This is how it unfolds. By confidently expecting abundance in every area of life, you create an energetic blueprint that the outer world mirrors with uncanny precision. This is the turning point. Imagine approaching each day with the unwavering anticipation that opportunities, clients, and financial gains are already aligned for you, and watch how the world bends to match that certainty. This is why focus and clarity matter. Expectation filters perception, allowing you to see resources and pathways that others miss while ignoring distractions that reinforce lack. This is the subtle mastery. Your emotional state acts as the signal, telling the subconscious exactly what to manifest and how to arrange circumstances. This is how inspired action flows. When expectation is fully embodied, decisions and behaviors naturally align with the fulfillment of your desires. This is where patience becomes effortless. You no longer struggle or force outcomes because confident expectation knows results are already underway. This is how obstacles dissolve. Each challenge becomes a minor adjustment rather than a barrier, simply part of the larger orchestration of abundance. This is why imagination amplifies expectation. Mentally rehearsing success with feeling intensifies the subconscious command, accelerating manifestation. This is the turning mechanism. Persistent expectation overrides old patterns of doubt, scarcity, and hesitation, rewriting automatic responses to favor wealth. This is where synchronicity appears. People, events, and opportunities begin converging in precise ways that seem miraculous, but are natural consequences of consistent expectation. This is how confidence compounds. Repeated successes, both imagined and real, reinforce the state of expectation, making it more potent with each passing day. This is the bridge between desire and reality. Expectation saturates both emotion and mind, leaving no gap for doubt to take hold. This is where alignment becomes tangible. Your outer life increasingly mirrors the richness and certainty you carry within. This is how life begins to feel effortless. The magnetic pull of expectation draws what you need, often before you even consciously pursue it. This is why Neville highlighted the internal state. Outer circumstances follow the directives set by the mind's assumption of fulfillment. This is where the viewer benefits. By mastering the magnetic power of expectation, you inhabit the prosperity state Neville lived in, effortlessly attracting wealth, opportunity, and success into every corner of your life. Ask yourself what would happen if you could go back and reshape the memories, experiences, and interpretations of your past so that they empowered rather than limited you. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that the imagination can revise past events, transforming them in the mind until the subconscious accepts a new, abundant narrative as truth. This is how it unfolds. By mentally replaying a memory and altering its outcome to reflect success, satisfaction, or wealth, you change the blueprint your subconscious uses to construct reality. This is the turning point. Imagine taking a past financial setback or career disappointment and reimagining it as a pivotal moment that propelled you into greater opportunity and prosperity. This is why revision is transformative. The past does not dictate the present when your imagination actively reshapes it, allowing freedom from limitation and scarcity patterns. This is where empowerment arises. Each act of revision strengthens your authority over reality, teaching the subconscious that abundance, not lack, is the operative principle. This is how imagination and feeling converge. Emotionally engaging with a revised scenario makes it indistinguishable from reality in the mind, impressing it deeply upon the subconscious. This is where patience meets precision. Consistent practice of revision subtly recalibrates your mental assumptions, producing long-lasting external results. This is the subtle mastery. By persistently reimagining events as aligned with wealth and success, you replace old fears with certainty and opportunity. This is how synchronicities are orchestrated. The subconscious manifests new outcomes aligned with the revised inner story, attracting people, resources, and circumstances in perfect harmony. This is why Neville emphasized the nighttime imagination. Revising memories before sleep allows the subconscious to integrate them fully, amplifying manifestation. This is how emotional resonance magnifies results. Deeply felt revisions impress the mind more profoundly than casual or superficial attempts. This is the turning mechanism. Old habits, limiting beliefs, and negative narratives lose influence as the mind adapts to the revised, abundant reality. This is where obstacles dissolve. Each reimagined scenario weakens the subconscious hold of scarcity, making abundance easier to inhabit. This is how life begins to mirror inner correction. External evidence of prosperity gradually replaces reminders of limitation or failure. This is the bridge between past and present. Revision enables you to use your own experiences as fuel for wealth consciousness, rather than as chains of scarcity. This is where consistency compounds. Repeated revision ingrains a new assumption of abundance that guides thoughts, feelings, and actions. This is the unseen force behind manifestation. The subconscious, convinced by revision, organizes life to reflect the new, empowered narrative. This is where the viewer benefits. Mastering the art of revision allows you to inhabit Neville's prosperity state fully, converting every past experience into a stepping stone for wealth, opportunity, and fulfillment. Envision a reality where giving is not a sacrifice, but a natural extension of the prosperity you already embody, creating a flow that multiplies itself endlessly. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard demonstrated that generosity is a hallmark of the prosperity state, and that outward giving reinforces the inner sense of abundance. This is how it unfolds. By offering time, resources, or support without hesitation, you signal to the subconscious that wealth is unlimited and that there is always more to receive. This is the turning point. Imagine helping a friend or colleague with resources or guidance freely, and observing unexpected returns, opportunities, or insights appear in ways you could not have anticipated. This is why generosity matters. The act of giving expands consciousness, shifting focus from lack to the limitless nature of wealth. This is the subtle mastery. Generosity creates a feedback loop, strengthening the inner belief that abundance is abundant, making the subconscious receptive to further prosperity. This is how trust in life grows. Giving without expectation cultivates faith that the universe mirrors the energy you emit, often in multiplied forms. This is where alignment manifests. Opportunities, clients, or resources appear in perfect timing, reflecting the inner state of abundance expressed through generosity. This is how joy amplifies results. The emotional satisfaction of giving reinforces the feeling of wealth, energizing your subconscious to attract more. This is why action from the heart is transformative. Generosity rooted in authentic feeling imprints your subconscious with a reality of plenty rather than lack. This is the turning mechanism. Small, consistent acts of giving train the mind to operate from abundance, not fear or limitation. This is where perception reshapes. By seeing wealth as circulating rather than scarce, you naturally recognize opportunities that expand both your life and the lives of others. This is how life flows effortlessly. The energy of giving creates reciprocity, often in ways too intricate for conscious planning. This is the hidden engine of prosperity. The universe responds to generosity by arranging circumstances, relationships, and resources in alignment with your inner state. This is where patience is redefined. Giving without immediate return reinforces trust in the process of abundance and in your own prosperity state. This is how imagination and action converge. Visualizing abundance while acting generously ensures the subconscious experiences wealth as both felt and expressed. This is why gratitude magnifies results. Giving while feeling grateful multiplies the perception of richness, creating layers of manifestation. This is where obstacles dissolve. Scarcity-based thinking weakens as generosity becomes habitual, shifting internal patterns toward expansion. This is how the viewer benefits. By embracing the practice of living generously, you strengthen the prosperity state Neville inhabited, allowing wealth, opportunity, and fulfillment to flow naturally and continuously into your life. Think of the power that arises when you no longer chase wealth or struggle against time, but instead trust that your desires are already unfolding perfectly in alignment with your inner state. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard emphasized that patience is not passive waiting, but an active state of confident expectation, where inner certainty guides the flow of outer events. This is how it unfolds. By releasing anxiety and trusting the process, you allow your subconscious to orchestrate opportunities, people, and resources in perfect timing. This is the turning point. Imagine planting the seed of a business idea, career goal, or financial breakthrough, and watching it grow quietly while remaining fully convinced of its inevitable fruition. This is why patience is transformative. It preserves the integrity of your inner assumption, preventing fear, doubt, or impatience from sabotaging manifestation. This is the subtle mastery. Knowing that the unseen forces are at work allows you to act decisively without forcing outcomes prematurely. This is how alignment deepens. Every thought, feeling, and action is guided by the certainty of the end result, creating a seamless flow toward success. This is where obstacles become temporary. Challenges and delays no longer generate panic or hesitation, because you trust the inner blueprint is in motion. This is why timing becomes precise. Patience allows the subconscious to arrange events in an order that maximizes the impact and efficiency of results. This is the mechanism of resilience. Enduring periods of apparent inactivity without abandoning assumption strengthens your inner state and deepens belief. This is where imagination and reality converge. The more you trust the unfolding process, the more vividly your visions begin to materialize in ways that surprise and delight. This is the turning mechanism. Consistent patience prevents the mind from reverting to scarcity thinking, reinforcing wealth consciousness. This is how synchronicities appear. Opportunities and connections often arrive in perfect sequence when you surrender to the timing of your inner state. This is why persistence is invisible. You continue living in the end with unwavering feeling, even when external evidence seems delayed. This is how obstacles dissolve naturally. What once seemed like setbacks are reframed as steps that guide you to greater alignment with prosperity. This is where confidence compounds. Each manifestation that occurs after patient assumption strengthens the expectation of future results. This is the subtle engine of manifestation. The subconscious acts more effectively when it is not interrupted by doubt or hurried action. This is how life begins to feel effortless. Wealth, opportunity, and success flow naturally as you inhabit a patient, confident state. This is where the viewer benefits. Embracing patience, as Neville taught, allows you to sustain the prosperity state fully, ensuring that abundance manifests reliably, predictably, and joyfully in every area of life. Suppose you discover that true prosperity is less about external effort and more about the relentless maintenance of an inner state, regardless of circumstances. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that persistence, the unwavering holding of your desired state, is the invisible force that compels the outer world to align with your assumptions. This is how it unfolds. By refusing to yield to doubt, fear, or apparent setbacks, you impress the subconscious with the unshakable reality of your chosen end. This is the turning point. Imagine facing financial uncertainty, professional obstacles, or social pressure, and yet continuing to live, feel, and act as though your wealth and success are already realized. This is why persistence is transformative. It neutralizes the disruptive power of temporary circumstances, ensuring that your inner state remains undisturbed by outer appearances. This is the subtle mastery. Every moment you sustain the feeling of already having wealth strengthens the subconscious blueprint, making manifestation inevitable. This is how imagination and emotion fuse. Vivid, consistent feeling carries far more weight than sporadic or half-hearted thought, impressing the mind deeply. This is where momentum builds. Each day spent in persistent assumption compounds the influence of previous mental and emotional investment, creating unstoppable creative force. This is why setbacks become lessons. Challenges are interpreted as guidance for refining your inner state rather than evidence of failure. This is how discipline protects your inner reality. By continually returning to the feeling of fulfillment, you prevent scarcity-based influences from regaining control. This is the turning mechanism. Sustained persistence overrides societal, familial, or historical programming that might contradict abundance. This is where patience and persistence intersect. Time becomes irrelevant when your inner state is consistently maintained, because manifestation follows a precise subconscious timeline. This is how intuition is amplified. A mind held steadily in the end perceives opportunities, strategies, and allies that are invisible to those fluctuating in doubt. This is where faith becomes unshakable. Repeated reinforcement of the chosen state trains the subconscious to accept it as absolute truth. This is the hidden engine of synchronicity. Events begin to orchestrate themselves in perfect alignment, as if reality conspires to honor your persistence. This is how the outer world catches up. People, finances, and circumstances adjust naturally to the unyielding state you inhabit. This is why Neville emphasized mental endurance. The unseen power of sustained assumption is stronger than any effort or external manipulation. This is where the viewer benefits. Learning to persist in the prosperity state, regardless of appearances, allows you to experience the wealth, success, and opportunity Neville lived in as a natural reflection of your inner world. Consider the possibility that who you believe yourself to be internally determines the wealth and abundance you experience externally, shaping reality to mirror your self-concept. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that identity is the cornerstone of prosperity, and that unless you inhabit the consciousness of the person who already has what you desire, manifestation remains limited. This is how it unfolds. By imagining and fully feeling yourself as a wealthy, successful, and empowered individual, your subconscious reorganizes life to reflect that identity. This is the turning point. Picture speaking, acting, and thinking as someone who commands resources effortlessly, treating abundance as your natural state, and noticing how people, opportunities, and circumstances respond accordingly. This is why internal alignment matters. Outer wealth cannot permanently manifest without first being anchored in the self-concept you embody. This is the subtle mastery. By continuously rehearsing the identity of a prosperous individual, your habits, choices, and environment begin to naturally support the state of abundance. This is how obstacles dissolve. Challenges are interpreted as temporary tests rather than defining moments, because your inner identity remains unshaken. This is where imagination meets reality. Mentally living in your wealthy identity provides the subconscious a clear blueprint for manifesting experiences and resources. This is how confidence compounds. Each day lived from your new identity reinforces the assumptions that generate continued abundance. This is the turning mechanism. The outer world inevitably conforms to the internal signals of the self you consistently present. This is why Neville emphasized living in the end. Inhabiting the state of the fulfilled self bridges imagination with tangible outcomes. This is how clarity sharpens. Understanding who you are at your core allows every thought, feeling, and decision to resonate with wealth rather than scarcity. This is the subtle engine of manifestation. Identity-driven living eliminates internal contradictions that might otherwise block or delay abundance. This is where intuition is activated. Decisions arise naturally in alignment with your prosperous self, often bypassing conscious struggle. This is how synchronicities appear. People, resources, and opportunities align seamlessly with the persona you embody. This is why emotional resonance strengthens results. Truly feeling yourself as wealthy ingrains the state into the subconscious more powerfully than any intellectual exercise. This is where patience becomes effortless. Living as the fulfilled self removes the anxiety of waiting, because abundance is already internalized. This is how life mirrors identity. Circumstances adjust organically to reflect the person you are within. This is where the viewer benefits. By aligning identity with wealth, as Neville did, you cultivate a prosperity state in which financial, personal, and creative abundance flows naturally from the self you inhabit. Now consider this. What if the single most powerful step toward lasting prosperity is the conscious choice to feel abundant every single day, regardless of current circumstances? This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the currency of manifestation, and that your emotional state signals the subconscious to construct reality in alignment with your inner experience. This is how it unfolds. By deliberately immersing yourself in the sensation of wealth, satisfaction, and success, you impress upon the subconscious the reality you wish to see reflected externally. This is the turning point. Imagine beginning each morning, visualizing your desired financial, personal, and professional outcomes, feeling them as tangibly real, and carrying that energy into every interaction and decision. This is why consistency is transformative. Repeated daily practice strengthens the neural and emotional pathways that encode abundance as your default state. This is the subtle mastery. Feeling the end result fully ensures that doubt, worry, and scarcity have no space to take root in your consciousness. This is how obstacles fade. Challenges are experienced as temporary contrasts rather than contradictions, because the emotional state of abundance remains uninterrupted. This is where imagination and emotion converge. Vividly sensing wealth allows the subconscious to blueprint reality with precise alignment, translating inner feeling into outer experience. This is how patience becomes effortless. Living in the feeling of abundance eliminates the anxiety of waiting, replacing it with calm expectancy. This is why gratitude amplifies results. Coupling daily feeling with appreciation enhances the subconscious signal, attracting even more wealth and opportunity. This is the turning mechanism. The persistent emotional state overrules fleeting doubts, ensuring that your external world increasingly mirrors your inner experience. This is where momentum builds. Every moment spent in conscious feeling compounds, creating a self-sustaining cycle of prosperity and opportunity. This is how synchronicities emerge. People, events, and resources align naturally to reflect the state of abundance you maintain. This is where inspiration flows. Feeling wealthy daily generates intuitive decisions and creative actions that further accelerate success. This is the subtle engine of manifestation. Emotions provide the power, imagination provides the template, and persistence ensures the subconscious enacts the design. This is how life becomes effortless. Every day lived in abundance produces tangible results without struggle, force, or anxiety. This is why Neville emphasized, feeling is the secret. Outer manifestations inevitably follow the internal emotional state. This is where the viewer benefits. By embracing the daily feeling of abundance, you cultivate the same prosperity state Neville lived in, turning imagination, emotion, and attention into an unstoppable force for wealth, success, and fulfillment. Envision a life where prosperity is not a destination, but a continuous, self-reinforcing cycle that grows stronger with each thought, feeling, and action aligned with abundance. This is where it begins. Neville Goddard taught that prosperity is sustained not by fleeting achievements, but by the habitual cultivation of a consciousness that consistently assumes wealth and success. This is how it unfolds. Each act of imagination, faith, gratitude, and generous living feeds back into the subconscious, which in turn arranges circumstances that reinforce the state of abundance. This is the turning point. Imagine the compounding effect when daily visualizations, persistent assumption, and confident action converge, creating momentum that magnifies results exponentially over time. This is why the cycle matters. Prosperity becomes self-sustaining, requiring less conscious effort, as your inner state automatically generates external manifestations. This is the subtle mastery. The habitual alignment of thought, feeling, and imagination forms a rhythm that the universe mirrors, producing predictable and growing wealth. This is how setbacks are transformed. Even challenges become ingredients in the cycle, providing opportunities to strengthen assumption, refine focus, and deepen emotional resonance. This is where inspiration flows. The more you invest in the cycle consciously, the more the subconscious introduces creative solutions, unexpected connections, and timely opportunities. This is why patience is amplified. Understanding the continuous nature of prosperity removes anxiety over temporary delays, as every moment contributes to the larger flow. This is how gratitude multiplies. Recognizing and appreciating every small success strengthens the feedback loop, drawing more circumstances that reflect abundance. This is the turning mechanism. Each element of prosperity, from belief to action, compounds like interest, reinforcing the inner state and producing tangible outcomes. This is where imagination acts as the engine. Vivid mental scenes, fully felt, continue to guide reality toward alignment with your assumptions. This is how synchronicities proliferate. Repeated alignment creates a cascade of coinciding events that support your wealth and fulfillment. This is the subtle energy of manifestation. The internal cycle orchestrates the external world, requiring minimal forced effort as alignment becomes habitual. This is why consistency is the ultimate secret. Small, repeated practices of assumption, gratitude, and emotional embodiment produce outsized results over time. This is where life begins to feel effortless. The self-reinforcing cycle of prosperity generates opportunities, resources, and success naturally, continuously, and abundantly. This is how outer reality mirrors inner state. Every action and encounter resonates with the consciousness you maintain, confirming abundance as your permanent experience. This is the hidden engine of Neville's prosperity. A mind trained to live in assumption, gratitude, and inspired action produces a life that never returns to scarcity. This is where the viewer benefits. By understanding and participating in the continuous cycle of prosperity, you secure a wealth state that mirrors Neville's, making abundance, opportunity, and fulfillment not just achievable, but inevitable. Ask yourself what it would feel like to fully inhabit the consciousness Neville Goddard lived in, where wealth, opportunity, and abundance flow naturally, effortlessly, and continuously into every aspect of life. This is where it begins. Mastery of the prosperity state is not about chasing money, luck, or external validation, but about fully integrating the beliefs, assumptions, feelings, and identity of the wealthy, fulfilled self. This is how it unfolds. By combining imagination, persistence, gratitude, generosity, patience, and expectation, you create an inner world that the subconscious faithfully translates into external reality. This is the turning point. Imagine waking each day already aligned with abundance, seeing your environment, relationships, and opportunities reflect the state of prosperity you consistently embody. This is why mastery is transformative. It liberates you from the fluctuations of circumstance, allowing your wealth consciousness to remain steady and invincible regardless of challenges. This is the subtle mastery. Every thought, feeling, and decision is harmonized with the assumption of wealth, creating a seamless flow of inspired action and manifestation. This is how synchronicity becomes predictable. Events, people, and circumstances align naturally as your inner state communicates certainty to the universe. This is where imagination and emotion converge. By feeling fully the experience of abundance and acting as if it is already present, you impress the subconscious beyond any rational limitations. This is why revision is powerful. Rewriting past limitations and scarcity experiences strengthens the internal blueprint for continuous prosperity. This is how the inner identity governs outer life. Every decision, habit, and reaction flows from the self-concept of the abundant person you have chosen to be. This is the turning mechanism. Persistence in the assumption, feeling, and embodiment of wealth ensures that external reality consistently reflects the prosperity state. This is where generosity amplifies. Giving without hesitation signals to the subconscious that abundance is limitless, reinforcing the cycle of wealth. This is how gratitude compounds. Appreciating your already realized prosperity energizes the subconscious to produce more aligned opportunities. This is why patience becomes effortless. Mastery allows you to trust the timing of manifestation, knowing that the subconscious is orchestrating events precisely. This is the hidden engine. Your sustained inner state of abundance attracts resources, relationships, and opportunities as naturally as gravity pulls objects downward. This is how life begins to feel effortless. Success, financial security, and fulfillment are no longer goals but a lived experience, reflected consistently in every area. This is where confidence becomes unshakable. Challenges are reframed as opportunities to demonstrate and strengthen the prosperity state. This is why Neville emphasized living in the end. Outer reality inevitably mirrors the inner state when assumption, feeling, and imagination are fully mastered. This is how the viewer benefits. By learning and applying the principles of mastering the prosperity state, you create a life of continuous abundance, wealth, and fulfillment, experiencing exactly the same state Neville Goddard inhabited, where prosperity is not an occasional reward, but your constant, natural reality.